going on, guys? Welcome back to the Rantin Review Pro Wrestling, and this is a news break. We are talking today about news from around the world of pro wrestling and sports entertainment. Of course, everybody remembers from last week the big, huge main event with Orange Cassidy and Kazuchika Okada making his AEW Dynamite debut against Bryan Danielson and Claudio Castignoli, in which Danielson, well, sort of suffered an eye injury, cracked orbital bone apparently. A lot of thought at the time was this was a was going to lead to a match between Danielson and Okada for Wrestle Kingdom. That was the rumored big match that was coming up, but more news has come out that has pretty much substantiated that this was a legitimate injury. Now, the injury, from what we hear, although it did happen in the match, it was because Danielson already had somewhat of an injury from his match with Andrade El Idolo the prior Friday on AEW Collision, and the Orange Punch and the Rainmaker kind of exacerbated that injury. It is unfortunate that this is the second time in which Kazuchika Okada and Danielson have gotten in the ring, and who would have thought that Kazuchika Okada, of all people, would be the most harmful wrestler that Bryan Danielson would be in the ring in, when he's been in the ring with all kinds of bruisers and Minoru Suzuki's and Jon Moxley's, etc., etc. So what it looks like right now is that Claudio Castignoli might be taking up that match at Wrestle Kingdom. With all due respect to Claudio, that is kind of a come down if that is the Wrestle Kingdom match. We don't know yet. Danielson is projected to be out for the rest of the year, so we're going to have to see whether or not he bounces back in time for Wrestle Kingdom. Now, from looking it up online, of course, you're going to have to take this with a grain of salt because we're looking it up online on WebMD and websites like that. Surgery for a cracked orbital bone, which Danielson will be having surgery. It's about a couple of weeks of recovery, but given the severity of Danielson's other injury that he had this year, they might take some time with it. So it's not out of the question that you could see Danielson and Okada at Wrestle Kingdom come January 4th, but I wouldn't hold my breath on it. It looks like it might be Castignoli. Now, this weekend, New Japan's got a major event, the Power Struggle event, and we're going to have to see whether or not Castignoli, I assume he's going to make some kind of a challenge to Okada for Wrestle Kingdom if that's the case, or maybe you'll see Danielson. Power Struggle is definitely going to be a show to watch this weekend in New Japan. There's been a lot of other discussion about the health of Vince McMahon. He was recently at the Tyson Fury boxing match this past weekend with The Undertaker. They were there and answering questions. There was a whole thing about McMahon talking about Dana White and some of the things that were disparaging that Dana White had said about Vince McMahon in the past. McMahon kind of blew that off. It's like, man, it's all water under the bridge. Even though you can see The Undertaker kind of smirking about it behind him, it is water under the bridge. They're all together now in TKO, so it's all business. There's no animosity between McMahon and Dana White, so it seems. The one thing fans did note is that McMahon was walking with a cane. He looks kind of in bad shape, and he's still dyeing his hair. You gotta let go of it. Sometimes you just gotta let go of it. You just gotta let go. Kano defeated Jake Lee in Pro Wrestling Noah to win the GHC Heavyweight Championship, so Pro Wrestling Noah as a new champion. This is going to be curious because we are entering that season where Pro Wrestling Noah and New Japan in the past 2 years have had cross-promotional things. Kano versus what I assume might be Tetsuya Naito come January 4th. Could be a match that I would definitely look forward to. One of the things is New Japan has issued a statement that there's contact with wrestlers outside the ring. Now, this stemmed from an incident. They have issued a statement. It reads, "Thank you for supporting New Japan Pro Wrestling. On principle, we ask our fans to refrain from contact with NJPW wrestlers outside of officially designated fan meeting events. This includes waiting for wrestlers on entrance and exits from the venue." Things are getting a little chippy. There has been a lot online about fan interactions. I got into a bit of a heated debate with somebody about something about Sasha Banks, Mercedes Moné, and a fan using her autograph signing event to try to ask her some dirt sheet question so he could get something on his social media, and she was kind of dismissive of him. There's interactions with Jeff Hardy, meeting people, and I think this is a larger issue in the culture in general. Western culture is going through a really weird phase now where there's a lot of entitlement especially when it is around celebrities and around public figures. And people feel like they are entitled to just do whatever because I guess they look at these people who are on TV and in music and in whatever it is as, yeah, hey, you're a puppet that entertains me on when I'm at home, and now I see you out in public. Well, come on, puppet, do the thing I want you to do. And that's not cool, man. These are human beings. And that's the thing that I stressed when I was arguing with somebody about Mercedes Moné. It's the thing a lot of people are stressing about Jeff Hardy. It's a lot of things people are stressing about this New Japan situation with fans approaching wrestlers and being kind of weird and awkward and aggressive towards them. So if you're a fan out there, if you're somebody listening to this and you have it in your mind that when you see a wrestler in public that you think that they deserve and they owe you to do X, Y, and Z, I would strongly suggest not doing that. My response has always been to people who are famous, and I've met a few famous people, is to kind of, if I see them and I make eye contact with them, I acknowledge them and go, hey, what's up, and then go about my business. Acknowledge them, like Roman Reigns says, acknowledge them, but I don't really need to go, hey, can you do this? Hey, give me this. Hey, and ask them 5,000 questions about stuff. Speaking of wrestlers who've had their ups and downs with meeting fans in person, Seth Rollins was talking about, as he's currently the WWE World Heavyweight Champion, third generation, whether or not his career is going to be winding down. And he's talking about how he's had a lot of injuries. He's banged up all the time. He blew his knee out. He's torn his MCL. He's got back issues. And he's got a kid. Much like Danielson, he's got a kid. And it's really interesting to see how he and Danielson and a couple of these other guys from this prior generation of wrestlers, they're now older. You're seeing that with Kenny Omega. You're seeing that with Danielson. You're seeing that with Seth Rollins. You're seeing that with a lot of guys at that age range from that 2010s generation that came up, Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens included. And we are kind of nearing the point. They're not quite past their prime yet, but we are nearing the point where these guys are passing their prime. Seth Rollins is definitely one of them. Kenny Omega, he recently, after that MJF match, talked about how he didn't know how much longer if he could even consider himself the best bout machine. He's not retiring, but he's going to be around for the next couple of years. But there are fewer days ahead for these guys being the performers at the level they are now than there are behind, which is kind of a sad thing. We go through it for every generation. This current generation of wrestling fans is experiencing it. I've experienced it since I've been a fan since '85. I've seen this happen over and over again. It is always sad when you start noticing that the people that were hot just a couple years ago, now you notice them losing a step, slowing down a bit, beat up a little bit, not able to do some of the things that they used to be able to do, and that we are nearing the days where they're getting to that age of, maybe it's time to slow it down, maybe it's time to go into a different role. You have anomalies like Sting and Ric Flair who keep going well past their prime, but with the work rate that guys like Seth Rollins and Kenny Omega and Bryan Danielson do, I don't know if any of these guys will be like Jericho or Sting or Flair wrestling into their 60s. I don't see that happening. So that's the news for today. I want to know what you guys think about these news items. Let your voice be heard in the comment box below. Do you think it's kind of effed up that fans are approaching people, wrestlers, and being overly aggressive with them to the point that New Japan has to put out a statement about it? What do you think the future is for Seth Rollins? And do you think Danielson will be able to come back from this orbital bone issue and make it for Wrestle Kingdom against Okada? Or do you think that we are going to see Castignoli versus Okada at Wrestle Kingdom? And is that a disappointment to you, or is that something like, hey, that's just as good too? Let your voice be heard in the comment box below. Until next time, I will see you guys here for more news, rumors, and commentary on a Rant and Review Pro Wrestling. Have a good day.